Hello students. Today we'll be learning about the concept of human capital formation and economic growth, the second part of it. In the earlier class, we had learned about what is human capital, what is human capital formation, and what is the source of human capital formation. And today, we'll be learning about the human capital formation and economic growth. What is the relationship between human capital formation and economic growth? Okay, first of all, let us understand the concept of human economic growth, because yesterday we have understood what is human capital. So let us understand what is economic growth. As students of economics, you would have understood what is economic and what is an economy. And this word growth, it can be easily understood. Growth is any concept which is improvising, improvement in the economy. But when we consider the whole concept of economic growth, it is related to increase in income level or income levels of a nation. So what is economic growth? Economic growth refers to continuous increase in the income levels of a nation. Say for example, India's economy in this year is around 200 crores. It's an example. And in the next year, it increases to 250 crores. The next year, it increases to 300 crores. So this increase in the income of the nation, we call it as economic growth. And how can we achieve economic growth on the basis of human capital? Yesterday, in the last part, I had explained to you that resources are being used to produce commodities or produce goods. We had considered that human capital is a process where you are converting the human resource into human capital. You are converting the human resource into human capital. So this capital, human capital, is being used to increase the productivity, increase the production of the goods, and also increase the levels of income. Obviously, when you are using capital, when the production increases, when the income levels increases, we can achieve economic growth. This principle or this idea of having higher economic growth with the help of human capital was recognized by India, our country, in the 7th 5-year plan itself. The 7th 5-year plan, they had given importance to having human capital development in the form, say, human resource development. Human resource development. I had written it as HRD, human resource development, otherwise human capital formation, has necessarily to be assigned a key role in any developmental strategy, whatever the kind of strategy you adopt to develop the country. See, we have been using 5-year plans in order to develop the country. Right from 1951 onwards, we have had a number of 5-year plans, and each 5-year plan has some objectives. In the same way, 7th 5-year plan recognized the importance of human capital, and it said that we have to assign a key role to the human capital in any developmental strategy, particularly in accounting with a large population. Students, we all know that India is the second largest populated country in the world. Obviously, we have huge amount of human resource. We also know that India is rich in natural resource. So natural resources along with huge amount of large population, which we call them as human resource, we could have done better than many other countries in the path of economic growth. See, now a large population, when we consider it as human resource, we have to provide them education, we have to provide them health facilities, we have to provide them skills as well as training. Once that is provided, this whole large amount of population can be converted into greater terms of human capital, which can be used for the developmental aspects of the country. So this was earlier recognized, 7th five-year plan itself. And even certain international institutions, international bodies, they have studied about the Indian economy, they have studied about the importance of human capital, and in their reports, they have recognized that India can be a superpower by 2020. We are already in 2020, but these are all the old reports which had recognized the importance of human capital. As the planning strategy involved and also the reports suggested by World Bank and all, if we had implemented the steps based upon the human capital formation, we could have done better. So the first is Deutsche Bank, a German bank. Deutsche Bank, a German bank, in its report called as Global Growth Centers. It has studied certain countries in the global area. In that, let us consider India, China, South Africa, Brazil. In such global growth centers, India is better placed when it comes to human capital formation. And when you are giving more importance to this, you can easily develop the country or you can easily increase the economic growth. Again, World Bank also in its report, India and the knowledge economy, here they are stressing upon what is called as knowledge economy. This is not physical capital, this is not financial capital. Whatever the knowledge that you are providing to the large population, that is knowledge. So that we consider as knowledge economy. So in its report, India and the knowledge economy, leveraging strengths and opportunities. That is, what kind of opportunities India has with its huge population. You would have studied about outsourcing, information technology, and we know, like, compared to many other countries, India is well placed in terms of information technology. We have our own companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, which are doing better in the world level. So obviously, that kind of knowledge, if we try to develop them, if we convert this large population into human capital, obviously our country will be in a better place when compared to the economic growth. And stressing upon human capital, that is giving more importance to human capital, we can increase the economic growth directly. In the sense, there is an direct influence. There is a direct influence of human capital on economic growth. In the last class, I told you that we are rich in natural resource, but still we have not been able to utilize the entire amount of natural resources to the optimum extent. Why? That is because we have not converted the entire human resource into human capital. That is, when you start giving higher education, when you start building more skills in the human population, when that happens, your human capital will grow. Once the human capital grows, directly it influences the economic growth. In the sense, higher the human capital, your economic growth will also increase. So whatever the amount of investment you make, higher the investment on human capital, your economic growth will also start increasing. This is the gist of the relationship between human capital and economic growth. The same thing, let us analyze with the different points. The first is, human capital increases labor productivity. Now, what is this productivity? The amount of work done by a individual labor or a unit of labor. The amount of labor done by a unit of labor. Human capital increases labor productivity. In what sense? Earlier, before this mechanization happened, if any road works has to be done, we used to have huge number of people digging the roads, taking a time period, longer time period. But today, with the use of machinery, example JCB, if you use a JCB, the amount of work which can be done by a group of people in 1 hour, the one JCB, one labor can do it within a given short period of time. So you're saving time and the amount of work done is also increased. So human capital, that is the amount of education, skills, expertise, whatever that you are giving to the population, that can increase the labor productivity. When you use machines, when you use computers, all such mechanized, what do you call, capital works, that will reduce the time of production, that also reduce the, whatever the value of money which is being spent, that is investment which is being spent, and also huge quantity of goods can be produced, huge quantity of goods can be produced. So the first is, as you stress on human capital, you can increase the labor productivity will also increase, this will increase the production, that is volume of production. Once the production increases, your income levels will increase. Once the income level increases, your economy will grow. Second one, human capital raises production levels. That is what I stressed it now. Labor productivity increases. Say for example, one individual A produces 10 units of a product in one day. A person A produces 10 units of a product in one day. This is his productivity. In the same way, when another individual B starts producing, he will also produce 10 units. That means what happens? In one day, they will be producing 20 units. So what is happening? Along with the increase in the productivity, the production levels will also increase. As production increases, the income levels increase. Income level increases means directly the economy will be growing. Third point, increases the participation rate and encourages equality. Equality in what? Equality in the distribution of income. Equality in the distribution of income. So this equality is in relation to income distribution. Income distribution. What is this participation rate? Participation rate refers to the rate of the population which is participating in workforce. That is, how many people are involved in production of commodities, involved in job, and at what rate? Either it is 10% or 50% or 60%. Even though we have a huge amount of young population, I would like to call young population, that is from 16 to 60, we don't have work for everybody. That is, in India, we have still what is called unemployment. Once you start giving education to them, once you invest more and more on education, their participation with the increase in the qualification and also education levels, their participation in the growth of the economy will increase. Naturally, see why India is giving more importance to education is, with a huge population, we can see to that the Indian economy can be placed on a higher trajectory, higher path of development. We have so many villages, we have so many young people who are still without jobs, who are still without proper education. With all those rights and acts, the right to education and all those incentives that is being given to the students in the schools and colleges, we have an opportunity to increase the participation rate of the population and also increase the human capital, through which we can lead to a higher level of growth. So once the participation rate increases, your income distribution will also be equal. We would have understood, we would have learned like problems of Indian economy. Under the problems of Indian economy, we have poverty and unemployment. Among them, one of them is income distribution, unequal distribution of income. So there are people who are very rich, there are so much huge amount of population who are poor. That, whatever we call it as distribution of income, unequal distribution of income, can be solved with the help of giving more importance to human capital. When you start investing on the human resource, when you start giving education and proper health to the human population, they will start participating in the employment opportunities. Once they start participating in the employment opportunities, they start earning income. Once they start earning income, the unequal distribution of income, the problem which we are facing, that gets reduced. All the population will be able to earn equal amount of income. So that is the third point. Fourth is improves quality of life. Now what is this quality of life? Quality of life involves the goods and services which we use, which we consume. See, a poor person will have a lower quality of life when compared to a rich person. You would have seen in your colleges itself or in your schools itself, there are students who come on bike. There are students who come by walk. There are students who come by buses also. Now, an individual student who comes by car or any bike, he leads a higher quality of life. And the students who come by bus or by walk, they have a lower quality of life. And also, the kind of food you intake. There are students who can afford to have food 3 times a day. There are students who cannot afford to have the food 3 times a day. And there are people who can afford to have nutritious food in the entire day. And there are people who cannot afford to have even one time nutritious food. The goods like necessaries, comforts and luxuries, they decide like what kind of quality of life the people are enjoying. The people who are utilizing more number of luxuries, more number of comfortable goods, they would be having a higher quality of life. People with good health will have higher quality of life. Poor people who are using less amount of luxuries, less amount of comfortable goods, they will be having a lower quality of life. So the question is, how can human capital improve quality of life? Naturally, we would have come across many individuals who come from village background, who are very poor. They with huge difficulty, they would have studied well, they would have got a job at a higher position. There are many people, and they would have earned a higher income also. Obviously, when you get highly educated, you will get a job which will fetch you a huge amount of income. Say for example, if any of you get 1 lakh per month, what will be your quality of life? Obviously, it will improve. You'll have a good mobile, you'll have a laptop, you'll have a bike, you'll have a good home. So, that kind of increase in the goods being used or being consumed with higher income will improve the quality of life of individuals. So, when you start investing on human capital, this human capital will in turn lead to higher income levels. That higher income levels will in turn lead to improvement in the quality of life. Next point, encourages innovations. Encourages innovations. Economic growth or economic development is a flow concept. It keeps on flowing. It keeps on changing. In what way? In earlier period, we used to have small TVs, black and white TVs. Those TVs could be used, say for example, for 20 years, 20 years, 25 years. If you are using it properly, the lifespan of the TV would have been around 20 to 25 years. So suppose you purchase a TV today and you use it for 20 to 25 years, what would happen to the companies? Will they be able to keep on earning income, or will they have a stagnant production levels? Obviously, when you purchase goods and use it for a longer period of time, it limits their income levels, it limits the profits of the companies. So they cannot develop, the companies cannot run. Now what do they do for it? They start innovating. Those small black and white TVs, they have been transformed into a bigger versions of TVs, flat TVs, what you call as LCD screens, and then LED screens, plasma TVs. Now we have internet TVs. Now with the innovations that is being made, when the TV, the small TVs, black and white TVs are converted into a larger plasma or internet TVs, that is what we call as innovations. Nowadays you would have come across the advertisements of cars, especially the MG cars. If you want to open the luggage portion of the car, when you just move your leg under it, the door gets opened. Now that is a kind of innovation. Earlier we used to put keys and then open, or we used to use the remote control to open the doors. But without using all such things, the doors can be open. Now that is innovation. Now obviously when people find a new thing, they try to purchase that. So when you purchase it, it creates demand. That demand will increase the income levels of the company. When the company income increases, naturally the national income will increase and your economy will grow. So we stress upon all companies and even the countries will stress upon innovation. When you start innovating new products, new ideas, that will lead to production being increasing, and that will lead to increasing income levels, and that again leads to economic growth. We always strive for advancement. So for example, say 15 to 20 years back, anybody would have been thought that we will have a class where we can sit at home and listen to the class and gain knowledge. No. 15 to 20 years back, we would have just thought of going to schools and colleges, sitting in front of the teachers and listening to the class and gaining knowledge. But today, everything has changed. By how? Innovation itself. So this innovation is being encouraged by the investment on human capital. When people learn new things, they will start implementing it in the real practical world, that is in terms of innovation. And that innovation will lead to economic growth. And then the last point, it brings positive, human capital brings positive changes in the outlook and the attitudes. When we look into the history of India, when you look into the society, even though today also we have a large number of practices which is not conducive to development. Say for example, caste system. Now, caste system, joint family system, and all such things which were the concepts of the past, and even people who are very much superstitious, such kind of outlook, such kind of thoughts can be changed by investing on human capital. Now that is what we call as positive changes in outlook and attitudes. Earlier, people were satisfied with whatever the wants were very less, and they were satisfied when those wants were completely satisfied, that's all. Now their economic life was only to such things. Get 3 meals a day, sufficient sleep, and just some comfortable goods. But today the entire attitude has changed. We need to have luxurious goods. Now that attitudes, changes those attitudes, change in the outlook can be brought out with investment on human capital. When people get educated, their thoughts change. Their negative thoughts will change into positive thoughts. They'll always stress upon getting higher and higher income, leading a good quality of life, and also increasing the labor productivity. This will help in the development of the economy and also increase in the economic growth. Next is about human capital and human development. When we come across these words, human capital and human development, we sometimes may not be able to differentiate the concepts. Human capital as well as human development is different concepts. Let me explain this with an example. Yesterday, I met one of my student, a past student. He had completed his second PUC, and I asked him whether he got admitted to the degree or like. He said, "No, sir, I'm not interested to study further." we cannot force them also. So the thing is, education and health, how we are going to use it in our daily life, that makes the difference between human capital and human development. Like here, when we come across human development, I've written a point. Individuals have right to get basic education and basic health care. Individuals have right to get basic education and also basic health care. And even the governments also, they are stressing upon parents to send the children at least till the elementary education. And it is they are doing it in a way where the child should get like his rights to get educated. And also the people have the right to get a proper good health care from the government side also. Now how we are going to use it, like use them, education and health, how we are going to make use of them in our daily life, in our individual life, that makes a difference of what is human capital and what is human development. Human capital considers education and health as a means to increase labor productivity. We always, when you are, have a business oriented mind, whatever the amount of money you invest, or spend, you try to get back more out of it. In the sense, if you try to invest 100 rupees, you would like to get back more than 100 rupees itself. That 100 rupees which you are investing, that is nothing but capital. In the same way, when you are paying fees and also when you are buying books and all, when you are getting educated, you won't sit idle after getting all the degrees and all. What will you do? You try to get a job and earn income. So what you have done with the fees and the money you have spent on books and all, that is just capital, physical capital or financial capital. That financial capital, you are making use of it to get a higher income. In the same way, whatever the human capital which we are developing, which we are increasing, it considers that both education and health are a means to achieve an end. What is that end? End is labor productivity. This is the end. We have to increase the productivity of the labor. How can we increase the productivity of labor? By improvising the human capital, by converting the human resource into human capital, better human capital. And also, human capital treats human beings as a means to end. That is, as I told you, the entire country tries to increase the income, that is to achieve the economic growth or economic development. That is the end for a country. Now that end is achieved by what? By increasing the productivity of the laborers. How would you increase the productivity of laborers? By using human beings, that is through human beings, whom we called as human resource earlier also. That human resource is being converted into human capital. So the human capital, with the help of human capital, we are using human beings as a means to increase the productivity. That is the achieving the end of productivity increase. This is about human capital. And coming to the human development, what is human development? Human development has a different approach towards education and health. Human development considers education and health to be an integral part of human well-being. What is that? See, we know, like when you are born, once you are born on earth, you will be given various training at your place itself. That is, in your home itself, your parents, father and mother, they will be teaching you many things. How you can be a member in a society. If you want to be a social being, if you want to live in a society, you'll have to follow certain rules. You'll have to respect the elders. You have to cultivate hygienic habits. All these things are taught you at the home. In the same way, as you grow up, you'll also get educated at schools, at colleges. Now there you'll be learning for the sake of earning income, for the sake of getting higher education. Now, this is a integral part of human well-being. Suppose, imagine there is an uneducated person. Say after around 20 to 21 years, the same uneducated person, if he wants to find a work, if he wants to find a job, he can find a job which can fetch him about 5 to 10,000 per month, a lower income. Let us not exactly frame the figure, a lower income. Comparatively, when an individual gets higher education, he can earn a higher income. Naturally, an uneducated person and an educated person will both enjoy different kind of life. Now, the educated person will have a higher human well-being, that is, his life will be at a higher level, whereas the uneducated individual will be having a lower life. Then, individuals have right to get basic education. Right to education Act stresses upon that itself. They should get elementary education, and it's their basic right. Why? Because when you get educated, your life approach changes, your attitudes changes, and also they should get basic health care. It is the responsibility of the government to provide basic education, basic health care. Now, that is what we call as human development. In the international level, your UN, United Nations, has what is called as United Nations Development Program as a particular part in its organization, United Nations Development Part, and that stresses upon Human Development Index. All the countries in the world are ranked based upon how much their population has developed, how that Human Development Index in terms of good health, good education, the country is developed. That is being measured. So when we are using that measurement, Human Development Index, naturally each country will try to improve its population in terms of their well-being, how well they are leading their life. So when we stress upon that, we have to give importance to education and health. When you have a good education and health infrastructure, the human aspect, their life will be well placed, their life will improve, that will increase the development of the human society. So this is the basic difference. One is like human capital considers the education and health as a means to increase the labor productivity, to improve the production levels. Human development doesn't consider that education is for productivity increase or to increase the income. It says it is the right for an individual to have a good education and good healthcare, so that their quality of life will improve. So this is about human capital, its relationship with the economic growth. Thank you.